So hey guys, this is Andrew, so gonna be something a bit different than usual. I didn't feel like really recording in front of the camera, so I decided to just record my audio, and I'm gonna be recording the topic that we're gonna talk about today. I'm gonna put something in the background. It's probably gonna be Minecraft, because like recently I got into the forever world that you have on Minecraft, which is basically a world that you have forever. It's in the name. And the cherry on top is that it's in hardcore. So it's much harder than usual, because if I lose this world, then it's game over. Like, I lose this world forever. So this is something different. Like I mentioned, I didn't really feel recording in front of the camera, but I also wanted to test out something different, and I kind of thought, like, while playing Minecraft, that it would be a pretty good idea to like record it and maybe use it in some video. So that's what I'm basically doing today. So today's video is going to be very specific, and it's about advice and advice in general overall. Maybe when you might be the type of person that really seeks out advice from people and tries to gain advice to become a better person or be a better person overall, because you know you want to improve in life and somehow change. But maybe not most of the advice that you get doesn't really work. Like, maybe you have noticed that when you scroll through videos, it might feel like every piece of advice like contradicts the last one. Like, one person is telling you to maybe wake up at 5 a.m, but the next just says like sleep as long as you need. I'm giving you a simple advice. I'm giving you a simple explanation or a simple example of how I feel like most people online that are giving advice, like how it feels currently on social media. And it kind of gets overwhelming because you don't know really what to trust. And it's very hard with advice because you don't really know what advice you want to hear unless you've like established the type of person that you are, like who you are, you know? So what advice will benefit you will come when you find out who you really are and what you need in life, what your values are or what you seek. So it's very hard for someone who doesn't have this to use the advice that is given online, because there's so much advice that you can just consume, but you never know if it's gonna be good for you. So you, in the end, you never utilize it. You never actually go through it and do the thing that one person is telling you, let's say. However, I have these three, how would I say it, tips, I guess, or just points which kind of I used in some way when I was trying to get advice or try to actually utilize the advice that was given to me from strangers online. And you know, just some advice is gonna be more useful to you, some advice you might just even ignore because it's not useful to you. So it's really how you interpret it in your own mind. So like the first thing that a lot of people might have a problem with is the advice that it's not really meant for you. Now what do I mean by this? I mean the advice that, like, let's start here. Like, most advice is made for a general audience, if you know what I mean. It's meant to sound good to like millions of people, which you probably have seen on Reels, you know, the views that people have, or just on short form content or for videos. It doesn't really match your context. The habits that you have, like your struggles, the energy that you want to invest into that. And like, think about it. Maybe let's say with David Goggins, someone who's been like building discipline for such a long time, And, you know, he wakes up at 5 a.m. and immediately goes running like 10 kilometers. And he does this every day. But if you're just trying to like stop scrolling on TikTok, like the same advice will not work for you. Because there's no, like, you haven't built that long-term discipline. You can't start immediately doing what these pro-level athletes or these successful people do, because you haven't really started simple, if you know what I mean. So to counter the advice, like this advice that's given to you by most people, is like take the advice and kind of like customize it in your own reality, if you know what I mean. Just try to like shrink it down, and let's say maybe if you want to try being like David Goggins, instead of waking up at 5 a.m., maybe normally you wake up at 8 or 7, try waking up at 6 a.m. and see if it's possible. Or maybe if you don't want to run 10 kilometers, or maybe if you can't run 10 kilometers, try running 1 kilometer at first, and then you scale it up. You add up more kilometers over time, and you build that, if you know what I mean. So that's the first point which I wanted to talk about, because I think it's very important. Now the second point, which I think a lot of people might struggle with, is that you might not act on it, if you know what I mean. When there's some advice that is given to you online, which is a blessing, like I don't think our ancestors expected that you could get so much advice from strangers online that might be so much useful, you know. So now we just got into a period of time where we just consume the advice and we don't really utilize it. You maybe watch a clip, you just nod, and you even think that it's kind of genius, but then you move on. You don't do anything, you just scroll. You know, you don't do anything with the information that is given to you, because like the information, it doesn't transform you. Let's say maybe you watch someone, I don't know, telling you how to maybe date or approach a girl. However, when you learn that information that is given to you, you will now think that you'll be able to do the same things as the guy that was giving you advice about dating. But unless you do the practical thing of actually approaching a girl and asking her something, then like it's gonna be useless to you. It's like me watching someone else work out and expecting that my muscles are going to grow. You actually have to do the thing, if you know what I mean. So, like to somehow change this, it would be like take the piece of advice that is actually given to you and test it for a week. It reminds me of the video that I did when I showed you how to have the most productive week that you can have. One of the points was for you to have a weekly goal, which you want to complete in that week. And it can be this. You know, you have your checklist that you do every day. Then you have the self-reflection at the end of the week or at the end of the day that you journal, for example. And then you have the weekly goal as well. With this, you don't have to do like 20 different things, you just do one. And you know it works because you'll feel the difference, and like you won't just think about it, and you will actually feel good. Like with me, for example, in my Notion app, which I write into, I have a page dedicated to notes and research, where I have different type of subjects like economy, law, psychology, soft skills like life lessons or tech. And I've created dedicated pages. For example, I saw a video about, I don't know, how to start a company. You know, what you need to do to start a company. I wrote it down into my economy page, all the things that I needed to do. And later on, when I will start my own company, let's say, maybe, then I will look at this page that I created and it's simplified for me. You actively learning and actually utilizing the advice that is given to you, it's very powerful. So that's the second point that I wanted to talk about. And I guess the third one might be that most of the advice that is online, it's very hard to trust. I used to be this. I had a big problem with this as well. Because maybe you're scrolling you scroll one video that says like that rest is very productive and that rest is good. It's a very stupid example, but I'm just stupidity sometimes explains it the best way. That rest is a very good thing and it's kind of productive. But the next video might say that rest is an excuse, that there are no excuses, you should grind harder, if you know what I mean. Now, I don't mean sleeping, I mean resting, like you laying on a sofa and just chilling out a bit. And you kind of get confused because at first, one video was telling you to do this, but the other one like switched it up way around and told you to do a completely different thing. So which one is correct? Now here's the thing. Both of them can be right for different people. That's what I meant when like most advice is generalized and it doesn't take account your story, your life. That's what I mean. So you have to mold the perception of how you feel and what advice will actually benefit you. If you know what I mean, it's kind of it might be a bit confusing, but for different people might work something else. For you works something else, you know? So my advice for this would be to ask yourself like, how do I feel right now? If you're maybe burned out, like maybe the advice that was given to you about rest will be good for you. However, if you're just being lazy or you're feeling like that you have energy, maybe the advice that was given to you for you to push harder is the one that you need. So it's really just you setting what is good for you and then actually doing something about it. So yeah, this is it. I can't really think about anything else. And just remember, like, this advice is for you to learn. It's you knowing about yourself, you learning about yourself, and you knowing what's the best thing for you, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I tried to learn as much as possible, and I tried to listen to people that were actually giving me some good advice, which I knew that I would use because I aligned with them, let's say. Know what you want, and you'll get through. Simple as that. I'm just repeating myself, I'm sorry. So yeah, I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this shorter video. I don't really know how long is it, but I just wanted to test out something different, you know, with the whole Minecraft footage and me just talking in the background, because yeah, I didn't really feel filming right now, so yeah, simple as that. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're doing good. And I'll see you next time. Peace, bro.